Hey everyone! Gosh, I love doing this. Um, Streaming on multiple platforms. I know my grandma watches these because she always comments on them, which is really funny. Um, Not literally comments, but always tells me that she watches. So I wanted to spend a couple minutes today just doing a little bit of a deeper dive into my story and how I've kind of come to this point of entrepreneurship. And okay, so here is who I really want to speak to today. I've had multiple conversations, sometimes with women in tears, who are just feeling really stuck and who have these desires that they really struggle with, where they want to make changes for their families, which typically starts financially, because if you are not in a financial stable place, that is going to be continue to be a massive burden on your life. And it's really hard to impact change. It's really hard to go out and do the things that you're really truly passionate about if you're having a hard time paying your bills. So I've been having multiple conversations, like finances have been a real stumbling block and very difficult and just a constant source of stress and frustration. And also job and life situations have been a constant source of stress and frustration for many women that I talk to. So I wanted to share my story. And if you are joining me from LinkedIn, you may be a woman who is working in a particular job situation, or maybe you've been trying to develop streams of income on the side and you've just been met with a lot of feeling stuckness. Is that a word? And I would love to share this story particularly with you because I think it'll at least be encouraging that there are things out there. There are ways for you to impact change. A lot of the women who follow me on the other social media platforms, you may be a stay-at-home mom who is looking at your bills, looking at your limitations, looking at the things that you really want to change, and you're like, but what do I do? Where do I go? Are these industries that I see other stay-at-home moms talking about actually legitimate? Can I feel good about stepping into something like that? So those are all the things that I kind of just wanted to talk about today, in the midst of sharing my story. So um, I'm in the social selling, network marketing, MLM industry, and I know that this industry can produce a lot of emotions for people. Trust me, I've come into contact with that a lot. But this is not something that I knew very much about when I first started, and I have grown to really love and appreciate this industry, but it took many years. So I'm going to share a little bit of that with you. And then, in the hopes that at the very least I can educate more about this industry through sharing my story, but also just to give you a little bit of hope that there are actually good companies out there that are impacting change in good, ethical ways that you can feel good about. So 5 years ago, Bobby and I had worked for a college ministry for 11 years. We had 3 babies in less than 4 years. We actually got pregnant with our first child 7 weeks after we got married. It was just a whirlwind. Our first 5 years of marriage were just a complete whirlwind. And when our youngest daughter was born, there were several things that were happening. When our youngest daughter was born, we had actually right at the same time decided to leave the college ministry that we had been a part of for over a decade and transition into church ministry. And we're actually in the process of helping to start a church on the northwest side of Indianapolis. So our youngest daughter was born. We had just left our jobs where, that was all we knew. That was basically all we had ever done as adults, was work for this college ministry in that specific context. And we ended up leaving our jobs, and we ended up, transitioning into this church ministry. And I remember, so this was a significant moment for me. It's like, we've got really little kids. I had just given birth. hormones, my body, like everything was just, wow, I was 35 years old. It was a really challenging time of life. And I remember we sat down and we looked at Bobby's salary and we looked at our bills, number crunching and just trying to make sure that we were staying within budget. And we had been living in a very tight budget basically our whole lives, because we were living on a missionary income essentially. And it wasn't very much. And so, we're crunching numbers and we're living in this tiny house. We've got 3 little kids. Life is chaotic. We're going through this big transition. My body's beat up. All these things are happening. And then we're crunching these numbers and realizing that, like, literally the salary does not pay the bills. It doesn't pay the bills. And I was so defeated by that. But then the other shoe dropped. It was the same week. It may have even been within a day. I don't know. I blocked out part of this. We get this bill in the mail, and we had thought that we were eligible for some financial aid from the hospital after Annie's birth. And we get this bill in the mail, and basically it's telling us, oh, by the way, we changed our financial aid policy. You now owe us all this money. And it was like multiple thousands of dollars that insurance did not cover and that we had not planned for, because we felt as, we were just literally, we thought that we were going to have all of it for a few $100s taken care of. And so that's all we had planned for. So we get this bill in the mail, and I remember sitting at the table, go out, please. I remember sitting at the table and feeling like someone had punched me in the gut. And it was so defeating. It was so defeating. And so go on out, close the door. We've got an e-learning day. Thanks, Washington Township Schools. Anyway, go out, please. Thank you. So during that time, I felt stuck. This is what I talk about a lot, is just feeling stuck as a woman. I felt stuck because there really wasn't a good option for me. It's not like I could just go back. Okay, I don't know what's happening with my video. Our internet is not doing well today. I didn't have any sort of I didn't have any sort of skill or resume or or career to go back to, because we had been doing ministry for so long. And then I ended up trying to think through like all the different things that I could do with, to bring in additional income. And I remember thinking, this was about the time when social media was really exploding with all of these people in direct sales. And it wasn't something I necessarily had negative opinions about. I just had never considered it because we had been working for this ministry. And my dear friend Laura was selling skincare online. And I was like, I wonder how much she's making. And if I could just do this for a little bit, just to keep our heads above water. What we needed, when we crunched all of our numbers, what we realized we needed was $500 a month. I'm like, okay, I need to figure out how to make $500 a month. So I ended up reaching out to Laura, and I asked her, I'm like, okay, can I make actual money doing this? Tell me more about this business that you're doing. I know nothing about it. I'd never used the products before with that company. I didn't even really care about the products. I just needed to make money. And so she walked me through the process. I'm like, okay, I trust you. I'll work with you. You're someone I love and have known for a long time. Jumped in and was able to make a pretty substantial income. And I actually ended up making way more than $500 a month. And it was totally a provision from God for our family during that time. Didn't have any plans of thinking that this would be any sort of long-term solution for our family. So anyway, I started building my business, and I've still got these 3 at home. We're still going through a transition. Well, during this time, my health started completely tanking. And I was super frustrated because I would go to the doctor, specifically the endocrinologist. I've got thyroid issues. I would go to the endocrinologist, and they would take my blood, they would look at my numbers, and they would say, oh, you're totally fine. And I'm like, I'm not fine. I literally am by 2 p.m. This would happen probably 3 to 4 days a week. At 2 p.m. in the afternoon, I would be on the couch. literally could not get off the couch. My body hurt so bad from achy joints and inflammation. It was all of my autoimmune stuff, and I did not understand it. And I've always been very healthy. I've always been very active. I've always eaten very well, for the most part, occasional bag of Cheetos here and there, but have always like really prioritized my health. And I could not get off the couch halfway through the day. And I have these 3 little kids. So not only do we have the financial stress, and I'm trying to like bring an income with that, but then my health is failing. So I ended up finding an incredible doctor in Indianapolis who actually listened to me. And I sat down with her and I'm like, this is how I feel. And everyone's telling me I'm fine. And my blood work is coming back fine. And like, I don't know what to do. I don't know how to make someone believe me that I literally can't get off the couch midday. And Bobby's having to come home from work and he's having to take care of the kids and make dinner and do bedtime while I like literally lay in bed for hours and hours and hours. I don't know if any of you have been in that place, especially those of you who've walked through this journey of autoimmune, but it is so hard to find people who actually listen to you. So she asked me, tell me like what you're eating. Tell me like, she did a ton of blood work. It was like $3,000 worth of blood work. Thankfully, insurance did cover that. But she started asking me, okay, 2 questions. What water are you drinking? And what skincare are you using? And I told her what skincare I was using. It's what I was selling at the time. And she was like, Jody, you cannot put that on your body. She's like, that skincare is absorbing into your bloodstream and it is totally throwing off your hormones. And I'm like, really? Because they keep telling me it's safe and effective and that it's been like tested and third-party tested and all this stuff. And she's like, no. She's like, I can tell you just from the ingredient labels that this is exactly one of the biggest culprits for your health absolutely tanking. Well, on one hand, I felt relieved because I'm like, okay, I'm getting some answers and I'm actually, I actually have someone with a medical degree taking me seriously right now. But on the other hand, I'm like, well, what am I going to do? This is income for our family. This is what is helping our family to survive. Bobby's income was not enough still to pay for our bills at that time. And we had moved into a house that was more suitable for our family. I'm like, I can't stop selling the skincare, but I also can't continue to sell the skincare because with integrity, if this is ruining my health, I can't put my reputation behind this. And so I figured out other ways to make money during that time. I taught English at like 5 o'clock in the morning to kids in China. I was applying to become a bus driver for our school district. I was trying to figure out ways to bring in extra income. Like, could I work in the schools? That's where my kids were all headed. And so 2 years ago, okay, this is where the story gets really good. 2 years ago, my best friend Kayla calls me up. And obviously, she'd been watching my journey through direct sales and with this other company I had been with. And she said, I have to tell you something. She's like, you're going to be surprised. And she was my friend that never in a million years I ever would have approached her. She was my customer and was supporting me in that way with my previous company. But I never approached her to talk about the business because I'm like, Kayla would never do something like this. And so she's like, a family friend of ours, Jamie Cross, she has this really incredible little herbal alchemy, natural skincare, body care, supplements business that's been around for about 10 years. And she's launching it into network marketing. And I was like, oh, okay. I'm like, well, tell me more. I was really skeptical because I'd been told over and over and over that natural products don't work. Such a lie. So anyway, but I was like, okay, tell me more. And I had a lot of questions for her because I was like, I'm never going to go back into this industry. I tried it. That's fine. I'm going to support my friends who are doing this, totally cheer them on. But I just don't think that that's the path for me to bring in income for our family. So started doing my research and actually heard Jamie's story. And when I first heard Jamie's story, I felt as if she had crawled inside my brain and like literally communicated out loud all the thoughts that I had had as I was walking through that massively difficult transition after our youngest daughter was born. And you know how their family had come to a crossroads where they couldn't even buy cheese at the store because it didn't fit in the budget, because it wasn't a priority for feeding her family, where like they were about to go into bankruptcy, where they were having all of these financial issues. And she's like, this is ridiculous. This is completely ridiculous. We should not be living like this. This is crazy. I'm going to go out and figure this thing out. And then entered the entrepreneurial space, spent years creating and crafting this incredible product in a very, very difficult market to launch in, and was able to do it, brought the company to multiple millions of dollars, basically as a mom and pop shop. People just don't do this, you guys. Brought this company to multiple millions of dollars, and then decided that she wanted to have even greater impact, studied the model, the network marketing model, and then launched in actually at the start of the pandemic, bless our hearts, into social selling. So I joined this company partly because, not because I believed so strongly in network marketing at that time. I do now. I love this industry, and industry is the answer to so many people. But for me, it was watching a leader of integrity who had already proven her track record of hard work and faithfulness and integrity, trying the products and knowing like I was the woman who was looking for solutions for my health, for my skin, for my family, and couldn't find good solutions out there. Finally finding something that worked, that helped my body at a cellular level to actually support my body's natural healing process. That's a whole other live video about the healing aspects that I've experienced just from the products and the education with this company. But more than that, this was a financial vehicle that our family could step into. And when we launched in, it was the end of April 20 into May, for my first month in this business, I was making close to double. Now, I'm not making income claims in terms, like, this is my own personal story, my own experience, but I was making out of the gate. I had been building and building in the pre-launch phase, but I was making out of the gate close to double what I had ever brought in with my other companies. So the financial payback with our compensation plan, I got to test and prove right away, and it's only gotten better as we've made adjustments. So here's what I want to say to you is this. Okay, here's your takeaway. So this is my story of how I've happened in this very misunderstood industry. What I want to say is this: you need solutions. You need options. If you feel stuck, what you've been doing up until this point has not worked for you. It just hasn't. It's not working. Craziness is literally doing the same thing over and over and over and over again and getting the same result. It's like, that's the definition of craziness, insanity. You have got to step outside of the box and consider other options. You hate your job. You're sick of going to your job, but you feel stuck. You feel handcuffed there. You hate your family's financial situation. Okay, I get it. I understand. I have been there. You have got to consider something else. We're living in a time in our culture, in our country right now, that it is a gig economy. The traditional 9 to 5, and that's just all. I mean, some families, yes, you get like, you have had the privilege of finding a job that has up until this point remained fairly secure, where you can survive off one income and that creates your family's needs. That is not the situation for most families in our country. Most families and even individuals in this country cannot survive off of just one salary. Not really. Not really. So we're at a place in our history and time with in our culture where we are having creative. We are having to think outside the box and consider additional streams of income. Well, where are you going to make those additional streams of income? Where? What are you going to do? Are you going to go like get a second job where you are literally exchanging time for money, And so that's taking more time away from the things that you care about, the people you care about. Are you going to look into things that help to create residual income? And this is another video I want to do just about the different types of residual income, but what kind of capital do you have to make investments into things that may or may not work out? Have you educated yourself about all the different ways to develop an income producing asset? Or are you just going to stay frustrated where you're at in the financial situation that you're at? I am really passionate about helping away the stigma from this industry because this industry is so powerful. And I have literally sat here on the front lines of it, literally helped a company launch. I mean, you don't get any more close to what this industry actually looks like than that. You just don't. And so I have literally sat here and watched life after life after life change. Now, has it been hard work? Oh, heck yeah. This has been some of the hardest work I've ever put into something entire life. And a lot of people look at this and think, well, I don't want to put hard work into that. Okay, that's fine. But that means choosing your heart. You are choosing your heart. You're frustrated at your situation. You're frustrated. You can't fix your money problem, but yet you're not willing to consider something that maybe you had never considered before. Or you're frustrated that you can't really help get your family out of this unstuck place that you're in, but you've got all these opinions about this industry that has actually set many individuals and families financially free. And you're not willing to go read a book about it, or you're not willing to have a conversation about it, or you're not willing to do a little research on your own to really understand what it is or what it isn't. So my heart in this, I know I've gotten all heated and passionate about this, but my heart in this is to share with you that if I can do this, I'm a pastor's wife. My only background is in full-time vocational ministry, and we have been in a dire financial situation. Dire. If I can do this, if I can figure this thing out, if I can step into this and make a change, if I can step into this vehicle and develop a stream of income, anybody can do it. I promise you, anybody can. Who has the grit and who has the work ethic and who is willing to actually stick with it. If you're not willing to stick with it, probably not going to make any money. So anyway, if any of this really resonates with you, if you are someone who has tried social selling before, didn't like it, you've written it off. Yep, I was there too. I'm really glad I gave it a second shot. If you are someone who is stuck in your finances and you need a solution and you haven't considered this industry, why? Why haven't you? Don't give excuses. Don't give me the whole I'm not a salesman. Don't give me the whole I don't have time. Don't give me the whole it's a scam. It's not. It's certainly not. If you are someone who is looking for solutions where your one income or even, two incomes for your family are not allowing you guys to live out the life and purpose that you really want to live out, then let's talk. I would love to be able to share some information with you to help educate you on what this is and what it isn't. Okay, I went way over my time. I was going to talk for 15 minutes instead of 25 minutes. But as you can tell, I get really, really, really excited about this. So my inbox is always open. I am probably the easiest person on planet Earth to get a hold of. I'm all over the internet. And so if you would like more information, you can check out the link in my bio, my profile, if you're on LinkedIn, on YouTube, I should have links there. On Facebook, I have a link in my profile, or you can reach out to me directly, and I would love to get you some very good, solid information in your hands for you to check out so that you can actually understand what this is and what it isn't, okay? So thanks for tuning in, and I hope that you guys have an amazing Tuesday.